Hello, and welcome to our bi-weekly Devstream. My name is Matt.
I'm HB.
And that's Mark. How's it going? How's everybody doing? It's been a little bit. Well, it's been 2 weeks. I guess it's the same little bit.
Yeah, it's been the exact same amount as last time.
It feels like a whole lot longer to me. There's Adam.
That's Adam.
It feels like a whole lot longer to me.
Matt's off in his own world. Slowly rebuilding the world of Foxhole in his own little corner. So
not much time left.
Yeah, but I'm so looking forward to these next couple of streams because we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's
I think for the last stream or two, there was a little bit less quantity of things to talk about in terms of feature. But these next couple of streams. I'm excited about all the stuff we're gonna be able to talk about. I just it's kind of funny because I was talking to Max the other day, and we're saying how the hardest thing for us is to know all the stuff that is coming to the game, but we can't say shit about it yet. and he was telling me that he's like, oh yeah, man, I can't wait. It's so hard because I want to know all about all these cool features coming.
How people are gonna like it and they're gonna use
or hate it.
Or hate it. Well, that's we already know people will hate it as well. So
50-50 chance on everything that people will either like or hate. But
I mean, it's only one of the biggest things I've ever worked on.
Yeah. So don't hate it, or you're gonna hurt Matt's feelings.
Exactly, and you don't want to do that.
But
only I can do that.
There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about, and we're gonna talk about some of that stuff on the stream today. So today's gonna be the start of talking about some of this really cool stuff. But
there's a pretty cool. There's the update is coming very soon.
Yeah.
Update 0.19 is coming, which is. I like the fact that we're already pushing things forward.
Well, it's one of those things where sometimes some of these updates that have less flashier features end up having these little changes that end up making a larger impact than we expect, right? Sniper rifle going into Conquest.
Yeah, I know.
Is one of the changes coming.
Hopefully there will be.
We'll see what happens there. Anyways, we'll go through all of that. But you're right. We do have another exciting update right around the corner.
Yeah,
soon.
Coming up soon.
And
trademarked.
Let's get to it, I think.
Yeah, let's go.
There's a lot to cover.
I'm gonna switch here since Matt is there you go. We're gonna start our dev stream with the community highlights. Community highlights snippets. And this couple of weeks has been pretty fun. I think now that everybody has been back from vacations, everybody's gearing up from update 19 and then eventually to 20. The players have been creating new stuff. So there's one of the cool things that I found out was Star Wars decided to go to the whole Team Fortress route and create hats. And
are these 3D modeled?
Yeah, they are all 3D modeled, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was like, I don't know, hats this is too gimmicky. But then I actually started thinking about it. It's if we ever want to keep people talk about costumes and stuff like that, right? All the time, and how we can make sure that it maintains the feeling and the visuals of Foxhole, but without making you completely stand out and not be part of a whole army. I think that hats like these, not crazy for clown hair or fucking bunny ears or whatever, things like that, or a frying pan, but hats like these actually could have a place in Foxhole. You're a naval captain, therefore you have a cap like that.
Right.
You are an infantry, you have a different kind of hat. And as you guys know, I'm a huge proponent of hats in live action form or not. So I really like this. I think that actually could be an easy enough addition. I'm thinking on a technical aspect of it. We have our helmets as a separate mesh that is fairly easy to swap. it's much harder when you have a whole like coat and everything that it requires you to reskin everything to the skeleton. But hats are fairly easy because you just plop it on the head, on the socket that is on the head there.
Right.
So it's...
Speaking of hats, something, this is like a slight change in topic.
Okay.
Still related to hats is on the weekend, I was watching a documentary on World War II. It was like a Netflix thing. I forgot what it's called.
Cool.
Right?
Okay.
And there was a scene in there where, or not a scene, but every scene where a soldier was downed, their helmet would fly off. It was the most noticeable. It would fall off. It was the first thing. It was the most like noticeable visual.
I was like, okay, this guy's dead.
Yeah. So then I went into the engine. I was playing a game. I forgot I was playing something, and I was like, how hard would it be for us to make it so that the helmet actually falls off when you're killed, and actually has like physics, right? So I spent like 15 minutes.
It's right?
Hacking something up, and it totally worked. But mind you, this is hacked up code. We can't ship it, so it's not 15 minutes. It would take a whole day to like.
It doesn't take into consideration the whole server networking,
anything. But it was kind of cool. Like the guy, like in my test, the guy got shot. Like one of the player meshes got shot, and then luckily, our characters actually have a head.
Yeah, no, it has
it's
all.
Like fully
yeah,
modeled,
yeah.
Right. So when the helmet came off, you saw the hair, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then I just kind of like shelved my changes, and then I just like continued playing.
My only thing is that how would that work when you're downed but you're not dead?
Oh, the way that I did it was only when you die.
Only when you actually die.
Only when you die, right? So only when your character turns into like a ragdoll does this happen.
Yeah, because if you even on the physics asset, like I know this is gonna get a little bit technical, but even on the physics asset itself, we can actually create like a physics hat that can it's a detachable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the biggest problem that I had, is that the physics weren't set up correctly, so it was a bit wonky. The physics, like the hat fell on the floor, and then it started like vibrating like crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't using the physics material. Yeah,
but it worked, and it was kind of cool, and I think it's a client only thing. So
if we don't have a problem
anyways, because we're talking about hats.
But it would be a server thing if you can collect the hat. And then you can swap your hat for something else.
That's all the ball game.
That's yes.
And hats are also the only thing that you can see on your character, so that makes sense.
It would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think these are the kind of ideas and stuff that like get as you can probably tell, gets us pumped, because it like generates more questions and like we talk about that kind of stuff. So I was really, really happy with this submission. The next one is quite neat as well. So this is a video. Let me make sure that I can play this. There's no sound. I think I muted. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do.
Spoiler alert! Oh, mobile title.
Yeah, it's Foxhole Immortal. It's this is a video that was done using just like the in-game camera of the map and being like having a radio, and it's basically a montage of what happened in Deadlands very, very recently. All right.
You know what's so crazy? Yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go on.
You know, the craziest thing is that seeing something like this was literally a pipe dream at the beginning of the project. Like we would usually
didn't we make a video like this as a like proof of concept?
And it was so much worse than this. Like in the actual result, it was just like a prototype, and it was.
There's been various stages of like this ultimate dream of being able to look at the history of war and see what happened over many days. And in the earlier days, it used to be in the form of like some of you guys making like a video where you walk through it slowly and you're like, this happened. But now it's evolved to the point where like, you know, we can see like actual
you can see the people walking around like the cars and stuff like that.
You know, if this is the kind of stuff that you guys like to see, let us know, because we're always working on our API, on our web API. So these are the kinds of things that we could think about. We don't know what we can, but we can look into exploring, being able to support things like this, allowing you to scrub through wars, to see what happened. I think that's the kind of stuff that we always want to lead with the need for features for the API. So if you guys, know that this is the kind of stuff you want to see in the API, then
and how is this useful for you guys? Like,
Yeah.
how can we make this more useful for you guys? I think it's really neat. You see, like when people in the beginning of the video, there were some moments in which somebody like went there and scouted, and you could see like the circle of scouting and getting all the information. Then they slowly fade away and then do it again.
Right.
Like scouting doesn't have as much, but when you see something like that, you see the value of going there and scouting. So it's kind of interesting.
This is so crazy seeing this.
Yeah, I just see the little guy, like everybody just fighting there on the south. It's quite interesting.
I just really like seeing everybody moving around. Like you just see the little dots.
It's like an organism
doing stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oops, sorry, I just hit my mic.
We've like banged things around so many times.
Anyway, this is really cool. Check it out on Community Highlights. There's other videos similar to these. I think this is the most recent one, but there are some other ones also produced. And the next one is, as you guys saw, this was produced by Leo, as he made a mock-up of what Foxhole would be in a mobile game. And I gotta be honest,
perfect timing.
This is so beautiful. Man, we can monetize the shit out of this.
Let's go to the dark side.
Let's completely
Immortal 2019.
Let's completely sell ourselves. This is so cool.
You know what is interesting? On a serious note about mobile, a lot of games that I think where I've seen cool things come out of mobile are games that are doing stuff like cross-play, that actually you get the full damn game and you cross-play it
with something on mobile
on the PC. Yeah, so like, in the case of Foxhole, not that we're ever going to be doing anything like this in any sort of foreseeable future, but like if you could like play the full Foxhole on your phone and you can drive a truck, you can run Logi from your phone or something.
Yeah.
That's a cool application.
Yeah,
right?
We actually talked before on a smaller scale, if there were some activities that you could optimize on your phone, like some Logi activities, or even, as you said, driving. Some combat might be harder, but you driving around and dropping supplies and things like that and refining.
Yeah.
It is the perfect kind of activity that you can do on your you're taking a little break from your job and you go refine a little bit of software.
Like you're in a meeting that's really boring at work.
Exactly, and you play a little bit of Foxhole.
Run some Logi while...
Exactly. Like dump some BMATs somewhere.
Yeah.
That's like do some Intel. Even if it was like a smaller scale, but still included in the main game, everything is...
Definitely.
The game is not a mobile game, but you have like something that you can take with
like an extension of the game.
Extended,
but there's no, without any like bullshit,
and no penalty for you not using, like, because you can do the same. You could do all the Logi and all the.
Like the Unreal Engine has been slowly improving their mobile support, which is something that we're we're gonna talk about the Unreal Engine later.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you're a construction worker? Spend the whole day building things, and then on your breaks you build more things. That's the dream, man. That's the dream. So yeah, I thought this was really cool. I thought Leo was so on like timely with his submission.
Right. Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever.
Right.
Cool. That's really cool. Anyway, so that's what I have for community highlights. Keep your submissions. If you haven't seen your stuff in here, like today, check out the actual full community highlights blog post that Max and Crazy Fucking Chicken will be posting sometime soon this week. You might see your submission, something that you have worked on but it didn't make the snippets, but it's probably going to be there. And if it's not, submit it on the submit it again on the Discord so people can evaluate and talk. It's always cool. We always love seeing all your art. So keep submitting. It's really cool.
Cool. Let's move
move on.
Development update. What the hell are we working on? We're working on a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the roadmap, because we've been looking at this every dev stream, I think.
Yes.
And we haven't missed a beat yet. Knock on
So
wood.
far, we're okay.
Yeah, so
You better find this isn't even wood. This is like a plastic.
Yeah.
yeah. You know, we started this whole thing after the last huge update, 0.17. And man, fall flew by,
It's
right?
just disappeared.
And, we had the FCL, which I think is
Semifinals now?
Semifinals was last weekend.
Oh, semifinals were last weekend, yeah.
I think the finals are coming up soon, if I understood this schedule correctly. And then we got the 0.18 update, the Dead Harvest event, which was great. A lot of stuff has happened. It's crazy. Like
This fall's been real busy.
yeah, but it's good. I hope that moving forward, every quarter we can sort of have like a nice roadmap with lots of things to keep the game fresh with events and update. Like, you know, we just want to constantly keep the ball rolling. And then now we're at the 0.19 update, and then there's going to be one more update at the end of the year. So with that, 0.19 is release ready. It went to dev branch last week, and it's a nice little update. It's going to add in the refined fuel, the advanced mining facility on the scrap and sulfur mines, a new UI for throwing grenades, because a bunch of you guys personally sent me a lot of feedback about this, like being angry over misthrown grenades.
Which makes
When
sense.
we originally did that grenade thing, we did it really fast.
Man, it was so old.
It was like really fast. It was like a couple hours.
And we actually like made some last minute tweaks after the dev branch. So in live version, it's going to be even better, right? Because we made some last adjustments. But you can see the screenshot here. Hopefully that'll be less accidental misfires, misthrows, right? Sniper rifles are going to be in Conquest in 0.19. Bunch of changes to game balance. Whole bunch of bug fixes. We actually finally got our bug list. I think our bug list is the lowest ever. It's at like 30. It's actually reached the 30s this time, whereas like at its peak it was like 100. And I'm really happy about that. There's still bugs. You know, there's still 30 something bugs tracked in our system. And no doubt
there's more bugs in the game.
I think there's going to be some probably coming in the near future, because there was a big change, which was the Unreal Engine update. So I wanted to talk about that a bit, because this is something it's more of like a behind the scenes thing. It's not something that you guys will notice immediately, but this is a huge ordeal for the game, because we haven't updated the engine in probably 2 years or something. The last version, Foxhole, was running on Unreal Engine 4.16, and prior to 4.16 we had updated the engine a couple of times, but things got so busy, and it's just been like a roller coaster ride. We haven't had time to stop and upgrade the engine, because upgrading the engine is a big ordeal. Like, we basically have to well, first of all, someone has to sit down and do all the work to basically go grab the new engine, right? Take all of our code, our assets, the entire project, map it onto the new version, right? And then like there's like a million problems, a million bugs, a million things are broken, and we do a giant merge between the old code and the new engine. And then slowly over time we have to like fix all these issues, right? And we've spent a lot of our time over the last couple of weeks in fixing all these issues. And it's a huge ordeal without any sort of like an immediate payoff. But there are new features that they've added to the engine that we can leverage in the future. One of the big things that they've added in 0.20 is some optimization tools for optimizing the server. So that will help us increase our player count, hopefully, in the upcoming updates, right? I think there's some like quality of life improvements for like the artists as well.
Yeah, things. Things
There's,
change on every corner, both like in the actual engine under the hood and also in the editor when we are putting stuff in game, for instance. That might break everything.
Well, actually, it didn't break. It was actually really great.
This time.
This one. The first time, like usually, I remember I always like to tell the story, but in Fortified, it like flipped the axis on all of the effects. So all of the like bullets and tracers and stuff were all like flipped sideways, which was like not fun. I think there's still, anyway.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen.
But there's some cool stuff. Like it's not the release version, but they started integrating their new visual effects tool, which won't be used probably for Foxhole
Cascade?
immediately. No, Cascade's the old one.
Cascade is the old
Niagara's
one.
the new
Niagara's the new one.
and there's new lighting stuff that probably we might see later. But like, there's a lot of things that you won't really notice this, I bet.
Well,
this feels
you
more
will you will notice this, but you won't notice it in the short run. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like in this,
it's an
update.
you see incremental changes that are enabled by this update, which is something that's not easy to do.
Yeah,
but also generates more bugs. So like if you see something that is not fixed, or even if it was fixed before and you see it again, please submit it.
Yeah,
it might be obvious sometimes. I've seen that happen. Like, oh, you guys know about this problem, right? It has been around for a while, but sometimes we don't because everybody assumes that we know. So therefore, nobody actually tells us what's going wrong, and we never end up seeing it.
Well, if it's logged in the bug report channel, then it will get transferred over to our system. But if we just kind of like fire it out in the middle of nowhere, like no one's gonna know about that. And one thing that has really helped, bugs that follow the bug template have much higher chance of being fixed. And I know because we've transferred a lot of issues that follow the format, and I've seen a lot of them get fixed. When they don't follow the template, we'll still try our best, but it's always a lot harder. So yeah,
it's best because it means it gets immediately like picked up. Yeah, because it's already
in the correct format.
In the right format.
And so 4.20 update was a big deal. Might not notice it immediately, but it will have longer term effects. So we're very excited about this. And that brings us to and speaking of 019, it is release ready. So once the war is over, then we will release 019. So go finish the war.
If that's not motivation enough.
Yep.
020. So it's still a little early to talk about 020, but because there's so much to talk about, we were thinking about like spreading it over a bunch of dev blogs, a bunch of dev streams, and we figured that it's going to take at least 3 streams for us to talk about all the features. So we decided to talk about some of them a little early ahead of time. So it's still a bit early, but we're gonna talk about a couple of these features coming, and this is sort of the roadmap for when we're going to be talking about all these features, right? There's going to be some we're going to talk about now. Obviously, the town revamp is going to be something that you guys already know about. We started talking about it in the last blog. We're going to be talking about it in
pretty well received.
Yeah. So the last blog, just to really quickly talk about that. It seems like a lot of people were really excited, awesome. even though it was really like simple. It was very early. I hope that you guys continue to enjoy what we're putting out with these dev blogs, there's another one coming up next week.
Yeah, so there was the first part that was out. There's going to be another 2 parts of the 3-part series, so you can look forward to that. The next dev stream, there's going to be 2 really fun features that we want to talk about.
Yep.
And then finally, December 11th, we're going to be sort of doing the final preview for 020. So this is sort of there's a lot of exciting to look forward to over the next month. And moving on to the features we're going to talk about today. First one is the emplacement house, right? So this kind of fits into some of our plans for the town revamp, and this is also the start of a new new paradigm for some of these structures, right? So the emplacement house is basically, it's like a garrison house. It's kind of like a cousin to the garrison house, but instead of it being like an AI controlled structure, it's a player controlled structure that you can mount. And in this case, this is the mortar emplacement house, right? So this is the first emplacement house that you're going to see in the game.
Hey, are you telling me that there are more than one type of emplacement house?
Maybe, but this is all you're going to be seeing anytime soon. So
you'll get more soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, and this is part of our plan to really make towns to really increase the number of options that you have to like defend yourself in the town, to increase the depth and like of the town combat, and to just have more like interesting things, right? And you know, we always from the beginning wanted to fulfill the vision of there's a guy up in like a garrisoned house and you know shooting like a mortar down at a whole bunch of troops that are
incoming,
that are like charging towards the town, and I think that I think this is sort of the first piece of much more to look forward to. Right?
I think some of the concept art might be a little bit misleading too. This is a pretty small house, so that gun isn't probably like this enormous, massive thing, right?
Yeah, take into the consideration the size of the door. The gun is not that. It's not that the gun on the right side is as big as the house. No.
Yeah. It's like I think somewhat of the scale of the old the gunboat. Remember the classic gunboat, where the turret that you can mount. It's roughly more that on the magnitude of that scale. So yeah, this is something that's going to be in a whole bunch of towns, and yeah, we're going to have. It's still early, so we're going to share more of the specs at a later point. But this is what we have to share now.
And also to be clear, it is player
driven.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not II.
Yeah. Cool.
II. It's not AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So the second new structure that we're going to see in towns is the safe house, right? So this is, you can consider this sort of like an auxiliary base that exists in towns, and this will be especially useful in the larger towns that are coming in the town revamp. Some of the towns are going to be so large that there will be this concept of one side being able to almost like own a part of the town while the other side owns the other side of the town. So creating a bit of like a Stalingrad type of situation, right? And this safe house offers different facilities that you can build over time, that will help you in, again, providing you an option, more options on how you can hold a town, right? So there's going to be an interior to the safe house, and you can see as you build more facilities, the interior is going to fill out with more of these visuals that will show you that the facilities are built. So there's going to be 3 planned facilities that you can add to the safe house. One is the operating post, and the operating post basically allows the safe house to act like a spawn point, and it will basically give it the functionality of a base. It'll allow you to power nearby foxholes. And then the second facility is the radio station, which gives it the functionality of a watchtower.
Yeah.
And then the third facility is the artillery shelter, right? So if you build the artillery shelter, it basically makes it so that you cannot snipe this safe house, right? Like you can snipe the safe house and get it down to the critical state, but you cannot finish it off at range. You have to get in close. You have to walk into the safe house, and you have to plant the satchel charge as an example to take out the shelter. So no more just like sniping out an entire town
just
at range.
Raining.
You got to get in close. If the holding force puts in the work to
build the artillery shelter.
To build the shelter, right? So it's sort of like pushing towards our philosophy that we're going to be using more and more, is that if you put the effort into building out a town, right, they should be easier to hold. So that includes putting in the effort to build out these safe houses, putting in the effort to build out the emplacement houses, and obviously there's already the garrison houses, right? And there's going to be more stuff in the future. This is sort of like the start of a push to make towns much more significant part of the game, right? And that's all we have to share for now. Again, it's just a sneak peek. There's a lot more, tons more that we're going to be talking about in the future, and that kind of concludes the development update.
Yeah. So in the dev blog, I had mentioned that towns are going to be far more like living and dynamic and stuff like that, and that's part of it that I couldn't talk about. So that, you know, there's I think it's going to be, I think these additions are going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, especially when they're all working together with the other parts of the town revamp.
Yeah, absolutely. And some things are going to be a little bit bigger than they used to be. So I'm really excited to see how. And by bigger, I mean taking out more space. So I'm really excited to see how all that stuff kind of works out. Anyway, you guys can ask some questions, and I'll try to answer them. And I'll try to enunciate them, as HB has told. I'm throwing him under the bus. Has told me that
I'm throwing you under the bus because you don't speak right. I have a question actually. That I saw somebody. Will the safe houses have any AI in it, like a garrison house?
Yeah. So it is a garrison house as well. Second floor will be garrisoned like just as a normal. Well, it's not normal because I don't want to talk too much about it, but because we actually haven't talked about some of that stuff yet, so I feel like I'm spilling the beans early, but yes, they will be like a garrison house.
Something we have talked about is that every house now is, for the most part, a garrison house. So take that with what you will. Like there's your answer, I guess, because we've talked about that before. But will we get more secondary weapons besides the handgun and the revolver, like a flare gun? Sevutal? That seems French to me. I can't.
That's hard.
Yeah, flare gun gets, frequently asked. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't do that in the future. It's not our focus anytime soon, but I can see that sneaking into like a smaller update or something. I don't think we're opposed to that. It's just we haven't gone around to it, right?
And if there's if there's like we see a need, then we will definitely try to supply something to fill that need. Right now, I don't know how much is a flare gun really needed in game. It might be. I might be completely wrong, but I'm not aware. You know what I mean?
I've really wanted to see flares like for a really long time, especially not like visual like light up a room flares, but smoke flares, like colored smoke flares for marking positions. I do feel like that would be really helpful.
I think like it would be really cool. I know we talked about this I think more than a year ago, and we explained why it's not so simple. If we had things like flares and stuff like that dealt with visibility at night, it's not so simple because we have our circle visibility that is not tied directly to actual light. You know what I mean? So that's why it's a whole new system, but flares could work on that regard. You throw a flare on a certain direction, so now you have visibility of that spot as well. So at night, making night combat more engaging as well.
Horrified Pilot asks, will we be able to have trenches in the new engine update? That I've seen that a couple times, which is why I wanted to address it. Probably not. I mean, dynamic like real-time server-side landscapes editing is something that would have to be probably specifically designed like for the game. Like Astroneer is a pretty good example, but even then, there's only like a couple people on a server in that game, and Yeah, that's tough. Also, like, there's a lot of design, like just level design problems with that too, that are beyond the technical ones. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that anytime soon in the way I think you're imagining. But more on that later. Do you have anything to add, Mark?
Yeah, like I think that we probably, I don't think the engine update, from what I've seen, has changed anything with regards to that. But I do think that we like the idea of trenches as a concept, and we have some we have. I want to put this. It's always so
That's
hard.
exactly why.
It's always so hard to talk about things without actually talking about things. So we have these, like, we have an idea of the large parts of the game that we're going to work on. Just like how at the end of this year we're going to, right now we're working on the towns, right? And one of the larger features that we have planned next year at some point is to revisit some of the base building aspects of the game, and while, like, I think trenches in the traditional sense is not something that we're going to do, we like the idea of, like, the feeling of players building out these, like, trench networks. So we're playing around with some things there. That's
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind, if it was something that was really, like, simple to do, you'd see it in games like Battlefield and stuff, for sure. And with all the money and everything that they put behind those games, like, there's some crazy stuff. Like, I don't know if anybody's played Battlefield 5 yet, but there's some crazy stuff in that game.
Visually, it's goddamn stunning.
So yeah, it's an interesting one. But I'm really excited about some of the future stuff that Mark's talking about.
Right.
So I've seen this question by a few people. So I'm just gonna kind of ask it generally, like, how big are the towns gonna be? Like,
how much space they occupy in our map?
So that's a tricky question because I don't want to answer too much because we're going to be showing stuff. But some towns will be much, much bigger, and some will be actually much, much smaller. I think one of the keys is there's, like, more variety in sizes and types of things. But it's still going to feel like Foxhole, because that was really important to us. So yeah, I'm gonna keep pretty vague on that one because we're gonna dig into that later. But I hope that answers your question. Hard Nails asks, can we have rowboats so we can form river pirate clans?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not.
Sure.
I think more than one person has suggested that on the team, and seems like a cool thing.
Some people also want a rowboat for when your whatever vessel you are gets attacked in the middle of the sea. You don't instantly die just by, like, treading water.
I like rowboats. Let's do rowboats. I mean, like, why not, right?
I think we should put rowboats, and we should add an equipment that is a life vest. Allows you to tread water for, like, 3 times as long or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, rowboats are great.
I just heard you say werewolves are great, but you said rowboats are great?
Yes.
And I was like, wait a second. We did zombies, I guess.
Leaking our next year.
Is there a chance that we can get towns with 3+ stories to give us kind of an urban feeling? So yeah, we're gonna talk more about that. So I'm gonna defer a lot of the
town
revamp questions, and that's the only reason I asked that. Not that I don't want to answer them, because I desperately do. But Malaran asks, will there be more options for sandbag walls, like multiple levels?
That's something that we're going to revisit in the new year. We originally were going to tackle some of that stuff this year, but there's a lot on our plate, and we're trying to get through it all. So definitely we're gonna take a look at that, but not this year. Yeah,
got kind of postponed. There was some tests They were interesting.
42 NFL 19 asks, can the engine support the potential of a bunch of particle/visual effects flares, visual effects of flares? I fear that people can spam that a lot, and that could be a hindering factor of them being added. Yeah, Foxhole we can cram a lot of visual effects on screen. If you haven't already, people can spam smoke grenades, and it usually doesn't really have much of an impact.
Also, we can always tweak the scale of if it's ultra high, low, or medium, and that can help a lot.
Well, it's also
things like that.
Yeah, and it's also how you do it, right? Because that question was specifically directed at the flares, and if you were to do it with the naive approach, which if you're sort of if you didn't have much experience with the engine or developing games, you might just attach a light to every flare, and then you are correct that will totally tank performance badly, right? But you could use smarter approaches, whenever we have lots of lights, we usually use a particle light, which costs much less and allows us to have more light-like features in the game.
Mm-hmm. They're not as real as
they're not as realistic. Yeah.
So that's a really good question, and I like it because it does talk about the performance of effects, which is something I'm really nerdy about, and it's extremely important to be nerdy about. But when we had campsites and you could just build the campsites, right? The very first implementation of that would just crank the engine when there was a full field of campsites. And that's because there was real lights attached to each one of the campsites. And that was when I discovered that using controlled particle lights, because you can take particle lights and make them just break everything if you're not paying attention. But then after that, you just didn't notice. It was just there was no frame rate drop at all when we had an entire field full of campsites. Yeah. So we could have we could probably put a couple hundred flares on screen and probably not see much change, because a lot of the other visual effects like smoke and stuff are really, really optimized so that we can have a lot of it. There's a really good talk from the Diablo 3. I know Diablo's a hot button topic, but there's a really
but let's not.
But there's a really good
ourselves in the fact that they know what they're doing.
There's a really good talk from the Diablo 3 team that talks about making effects that both look good and just are really optimized. Because Diablo 3 is probably one of the most optimized games.
Diablo on Switch plays that is wonderful.
Yeah, so I learned a lot from we learned a lot from that, and when it comes to rendering a lot of shit on screen, learn from the masters, right? So to simply answer your question, I'm not worried about that at all.
The answer is yes.
Horrified Pilot asks, would that mean we could have spotlights in town for nighttime combat? Now a spotlight,
it's different.
Is really different, because that's actually a real thing that you'd have to. It's a real thing that would have to illuminate stuff. Whereas,
if you guys seen I don't know if obviously not everybody's seen the announcement of the 2080 line of graphics cards from NVIDIA. They actually did a good explanation on why having actual real lights with real shadows and things like that is so much more expensive, and what they are saying, what they claim to be trying to make it much easier, but the spotlights have the same problem as reflections and things like that.
Padfoot says, had an idea for ski troops. What are your thoughts?
What are ski troops? Sorry.
I'm gonna just take a guess. People who are on skis. And I'm assuming you'd be able to move faster, on snowy surfaces or something like that.
How about snowshoes?
Snowshoes makes a lot of. I think
But would you go slower?
We'll slow them down on snow, and then they need snowshoes to move at normal speed. How's that sound?
What about actual?
Wait, don't people that ski, don't they require mountains and hills and things like that?
It requires going downhill. So I guess you could go down to Locan.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool visual. I'm just not sure we have hills to support ski.
What about those snowmobiles?
Snowmobiles.
They really only work on the north part of the map.
Or there's cross country skiing, Mark. I guess. I don't know how it works. I'm
I think
Canadian,
that
though.
I think that having weather be more part of the game would be kind of cool at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So maybe we'll think about skis then.
Guile Zeus asks, is there a possibility of getting some smaller scale transportation assets like bikes and wheelbarrows? Be nice to quickly build tools like this to travel and transport stuff over short distances and not use a ton of materials. I feel like this is something that comes up like every month.
Yes. The answer is yes. There's a huge possibility. Wheelbarrows probably will never get into the game for different reasons. Not really important.
I said this the other day, but wheelbarrows are more in the DNA of Foxhole than like Deadlands is. I just want you guys to know that.
But it was in regards to the other things and like having a smaller. Actually, we talked about this quite a lot before. We are not against the possibility. So we don't want to also take away the beginning of the game, the progression of the beginning of the game. That would be a point of contention.
So our view on that is that it should be hard to move things, right? It shouldn't be so easy to move things. But where I can see that working at some point, and we've thought about this, but it would be a very crazy change, but we can be crazy sometimes, so it could happen where an individual can actually carry an amount that is more realistic, right? So right now a character can carry like hundreds of BMATs, enough to build an entire like forward operating base in their backpack, which is totally silly, right? But it's just so deeply embedded in the gameplay that it's difficult to change. But something that we have thought about doing before is saying, okay, revamp the inventory of the player, like revamp the inventory system, revamp the encumbrance system, so you can carry something that is more realistic of an amount, but then now we have the problem of like, if you don't have a truck, how do you carry things around, right? So in that case, implementing something like a wheelbarrow could be the new thing that carries those hundreds of BMATs.
Yeah, you got to give an opportunity for people to be able to do what they were doing before and not just take it away.
Yeah, exactly. While eliminating like very cheap tactics like getting yourself over encumbered with like almost 1,000 mats, walking across the map, and then building a watchtower or weird things like that, right? Is something that we want to slowly sort of try to tackle, but none of that's coming soon. It's just more where our mind is at, right? So
I just had the question in front of me. I don't remember who answered it, but I lost the question. Will you spawn inside or outside of the safe houses?
So we went back and forth on this a couple of times, and it may change. The current version is that you spawn on the so the current version is that you spawn on the inside, but just as recent as yesterday, it was on the outside. So we could, but I wouldn't be surprised if that changed again, because it depends on a couple of other things that we're still finalizing, right? So yeah, and you will be able to shoot out from the first floor, which is great. Like you should be able to shoot out of those small little slits, so you will be protected, right?
I think it's going to be really cool. All right, if there's nothing else to do you want to follow up on anything, Mark, or should we go to the? No. All right, so HB is going to take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you everybody on Twitch for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to catch this live so you can ask questions, it's gonna be every 2 weeks on every second Tuesday at 2 p.m. EST. We're trying to answer more questions on YouTube comments as well. KFC is trying to answer more questions. So if you can never catch us on Twitch, go to our Discord and join the community and ask us there. If you can't do that either for some reason, but you're watching us on YouTube, Leave us a question on the comments below. We'll try to answer them, see if we can. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching.
I did lie.
What did you lie?
Damn it, Mark.
There is one more thing, sorry.
What is it?
That I forgot about. You don't want to miss the next stream because there's been something you guys have been waiting for a very long time that we're going to finally talk about. So
It's the
why?
it's the town.
Wheelbarrows?
why are you spoiling the fun? No, it's not wheelbarrows. It's going to be, you don't want to miss the
It's
next
gonna
one.
be, and then you spoil it.
And then I spoil it.
Also, you don't want to miss the next devlog and the one after that.
You know what? Fuck it.
And
Don't
then
miss
the next 3 dev streams. Don't miss the next 4 dev streams.
But seriously, next one. Be here. You will want to be here. So
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Have a
you
good
guys.
one.
Stay foxy.